Hello and welcome to this tutorial on IoT Cloud playlist. In this tutorial, I'm going to be looking at sending data from Raspberry Pi to Thingsboard Cloud. Thingsboard, before I proceed, is another IoT cloud service, just like Cubitro, Helium, or ThingsPeak. But what is awesome about Thingsboard is that there are three different methods of setting up Thingsboard. The first one is to use the Thingsboard local server, meaning that you can set up Thingsboard to run locally on your Raspberry Pi, or you use the Thingsboard Cloud, meaning that you can set up Thingsboard to work in the cloud using internet, and you can use the live demo form. In this tutorial, I'm going to be looking at how to set up Thingsboard Cloud, and in future tutorials, I'm going to be looking at how to set up Thingsboard to work locally on your Raspberry Pi and also to use the live demo part. So let's move straight into the tutorial. First, we're going to start with the hardware connection. So now let me walk you through the hardware connection. Here I have my DHT and I have my resistor. It's a 10K resistor. I have my breadboard here and I have my Raspberry Pi here. So as you can see, I'm using a Raspberry Pi 4 for this tutorial. I just got this newly. So I've already set up my connections. I've connected the jumper wires to the Raspberry Pi. So this is the first one. This is connected to pin 1 of the Raspberry Pi, and this is going to be the data pin. It's connected to pin 4 on the Raspberry Pi, that is GPIO4, not actually pin 4 but GPIO4, and this is connected to pin number 39, which is a ground pin. So don't forget, this is pin 1, this is GPIO4. If you have to count, GPIO4 falls to pin number 7. So this is pin number 7, which is GPIO4, and this is pin number 39, which is a ground pin. So I'm going to plug in. Let me put this to one side. I'm going to plug in my DHT sensor A, and in this sensor, this is pin 1, pin 2, 3, and 4. So my DHT sensor will come here, and I have my 10K resistor in between pin 1 and pin 2. So I'll just go back and plug this in. So I have my 10K resistor in between pin 1 and pin 2. So as I have here, this is VCC pin, which is pin 1, 3 volts on the Raspberry Pi. It comes to pin 1. And this is the data pin, which is GPL4, pin number 7 on the Raspberry Pi. It comes to pin 2. So pin 3 will be left unconnected, while the ground pin will go to the last pin, which is pin 4. So this is the whole setup. So I'm using 3 pin, don't forget, pin 1, pin 7, and pin 39. So this is my ground. This is the VCC, which is pin number 1, 3 volts on the Raspberry Pi, and this is GPL4, which is pin 7 on the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to connect this to my computer now and do all necessary setup. So I'll be connecting my Raspberry Pi to my computer via headless, so that a lot of things will be easy for me to do. I just slot this in and connect this to my computer. Then I'll power on the Raspberry Pi. Once you are done setting up the hardware, the next thing is to access the Thingsboard Cloud platform. So come to the web browser and search for thingsboard.cloud. If you are new to Thingsboard, you have to create an account, and if this is not your first time of accessing Thingsboard, just sign in using your previous account and you can follow along with this tutorial. Here I've already created an account and I'm logged in to my Thingsboard Cloud platform. So this is going to be popping up whenever you are signing into your Thingsboard platform. So I'm just going to click on close, and here I have the Thingsboard dashboard. So there are a lot of things that we can do here. There are a lot of options for us. We can use these tabs, or we can use the left panel. So what we want to do is to create a device, and that will be the only thing we are going to be doing. So you can either use this option here, which is devices, or you come to the left panel and click on device group. So I'll just click on devices over here, and you have this device group already created, which is named all. So there's no need to create another one. If you have a lot of devices, you might just create another group for a group of devices. So here, as default, a device group will be created for you, which is named all. So to create a new device under this device group, just click on the option here, and here you are inside the device group all. So we are going to be creating a new device inside the device group all. So to create a new device under this group, click on the plus button, which is add device, and we are going to give our device a name. I've just called this one Raspberry Pi DHT. So I'm going to name it Raspberry Pi DHT, and you can choose to give it a label, or I've just labeled this weather monitor. So you can choose to leave it as default. Every other thing can be left as default, and click on add. So with this, we are done creating a device under the device group. So one thing we are going to be needing here is the device credentials, which is access token. So the only thing we need to send data from Raspberry Pi to this device is the access token. So you can just click on copy access token, and we are going to be using this in our code. So now we are going to be setting up the Raspberry Pi to send data to Thingsboard Cloud. I'm going to be setting up my Raspberry Pi to read DHT11 sensor data, which are temperature and humidity. Before we can successfully read the temperature and humidity from DHT11, we have to set up our Raspberry Pi. And in this tutorial, I'm going to be using the Adafruit CircuitPython library to get this done. So to install the library for DHT11 on Raspberry Pi, just come to your browser. Here I'm using Chromium on my Raspberry Pi, and you can search for Adafruit DHT Raspberry Pi setup. So if you scroll down, just click on Python setup DHT humidity sensing on Raspberry Pi or BigBone. So I'm going to click on this link, and on this link we are going to see instruction and details on how we can set up our Raspberry Pi to successfully read temperature and humidity from DHT11. So the first thing we need to do is to set up our Linux board, which is our Raspberry Pi, to use CircuitPython libraries. So scroll down and click on this link, which is set up your Linux board for using CircuitPython libraries. So on this page, we're going to be setting up our Raspberry Pi to use CircuitPython libraries. So the first thing we need to do is to install the setup tools. So click on this copy text. I won't be typing this out on my terminal. I'll just click on copy, and I'm going to open the terminal and paste in the code. So this is successfully done. Again, I'm going to scroll down and grab this script and run it on my terminal. So it's asking, so click, just type in Y to confirm. So while waiting for this, I've just come back to this page. So after running this, we are done setting up a Raspberry Pi to use Circuit Python. So let me go back to my terminal to see the updates. It's definitely going to get stuck here. So to just save you the time, you can press Ctrl C to cancel the operation. So with this, we are good and we can continue. So I'll just go back to this page and click on the back button to go back to the original web page. So I'm done with this step, which is setting your Linux board for using Circuit Python libraries. So I just need to grab some Circuit Python DHT library here to finish setting up my Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to grab this, which is pip install Adafruit Circuit Python DHT. So copying this, I'll come back to my terminal and paste it in. So and lastly, I'll grab it, which is sudo apt get install libgpiod. So again, I'm going to copy this and paste it right into my terminal. So with this, we are done setting up your Raspberry Pi to read DHT sensor data. So to test, I'm going to copy this code and run it on my Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to copy this and open Tiny. So I open the Tiny Python IDE and paste this in. So we need to do some setup to make it work. So first I'm using DHT11, so I'm going to change this to DHT11, and I'm using GPIO4. So from D18 I'm going to change this to D4. So you can leave everything else as default, and with that we're good to go. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to run it. So you can call it DHT simple test.py. If you run this by clicking on run, you're going to be seeing your temperature and humidity. But I discovered there's a problem with this. If you run it for the first time, it's going to work perfectly. Whenever you reboot your Raspberry Pi, it's going to work perfectly. But if you try to run it again, it might not work again. So what you just need to do is to uncomment this particular line 14, and again change this to DHT11 and change this to D4. So whenever you are running your code, it's going to run perfectly. So to run this, I'm going to click on run. So here we have temperature and humidity coming in. I have my temperature is 86.0 degree Fahrenheit and my humidity. So this is how you can read humidity and temperature data from DHT11 sensor. Again, I can read this from the terminal. So if I open my terminal, I'll just clear this and change directory to document where I saved it. So I have my I'll just check where I saved this. So it's my root directory. So I'm going to change. So I have DHT simple test.py. So to run it, I can just type Python 3 DHT simple test.py. And also on the terminal, I have my temperature and humidity coming in. So that's how you can set up your Raspberry Pi to read DHT11 sensor data. So after setting up your Raspberry Pi to read DHT11 sensor data successfully, the next thing you want to do is to set up your Raspberry Pi to send the DHT data to Thingsboard Cloud. So since we are going to be using MQTT protocol, the first thing we have to do is to download PAHO MQTT on our Raspberry Pi. So open the terminal and just type in the command pip3 install PAHO MQTT. So this is the protocol we are going to be using to send data to Thingsboard. So you already have it installed, so you should say requirements already satisfied. So having this already satisfied, if you don't have PAHO MQTT, your Raspberry Pi is going to download it and you have it installed on your device. So I'm going to give a link to more instructions on this in the description. So after installing PAHO MQTT, the next thing is to write our Raspberry Pi code, which is going to make use of MQTT to send DHT data to Thingsboard. So I have this code here, and I'm going to be using this code to send data to Thingsboard. So the link to the code is going to be in the description below. So the major thing you have to do here is to come to access token and type in the access token that you copied from your Thingsboard. So leave everything as it is by default unless you want to change the code to suit your taste. So just need to put in the access token, and with that you can run the code. So leave everything as it's by default and type in your access token and leave this to be thingsboard.cloud. In next tutorial, I'm going to be looking at how to set up Thingsboard to run locally on your Raspberry Pi. But for now, we're going to be using thingsboard.cloud and you're going to be inputting your access token. So once you are done doing that, just click on run. And then we have our temperature, which is 30 degrees Celsius, and humidity, which is 95%. So all these data now are being sent to Thingsboard. So now I'm going to open my Thingsboard to view the telemetry. Now, back on the Thingsboard Cloud platform, under your devices, this is the device that we created, which is Raspberry Pi DHT. Just click on this, and if you check details, we have the details here. So to check the telemetry, just click on latest telemetry, and here we have the telemetry coming in. So it's only showing two values, which are majorly our temperature and humidity. If you want, as you can see here, this value is, this timestamp is changing for every 3 seconds depending on your network. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to create a widget to view this data graphically. So I'm going to select temperature first. So there are a lot of ways you can do this. You can create widgets from the left panel, but how I like to do it is to come directly to my telemetry, click on this and click on show on widgets. So you can create different widget type. We are going to be creating two widget type basically. So we are going to be creating card type, where we'll be seeing all our telemetry. As you can see here, we have all the telemetry coming in, and I'm going to click on add to dashboard. So if you have an existing dashboard, but in this tutorial we're going to be creating a new dashboard here, I'm going to call this weather monitor. So, and I'm going to click on add. So we have successfully added this card to our dashboard. So we're going to be creating another one, which is for the chart. So this is temperature gauge. So we're going to add this. It's going to make our temperature to be presentable. So I'll just click on add to dashboard. So again, we're going to select existing dashboard and click on weather monitor, because we have this dashboard created before. So weather monitor, and I will click on add. So we've added temperature, both the card type and the analog gauge, to the dashboard. So now I'm going to be adding humidity also. So I'll click on show on widgets. So this is the card form. My Raspberry Pi is no more sending. So I'll just click on add to dashboard, and I'm going to select my dashboard, which is weather monitor, and click on add. Also, I'm going to be creating another chart type, which is analog chart. And this might not be okay for our humidity data, so we are going to select another one, which is digital gauges. So you have a lot of options here. You can just click on next to view the next option. This is 95. I think I will go with this. So I'm going to click again, click add to dashboard, and select my dashboard, which is weather monitor, and click on add. So now we have 4 different things added to our dashboard. So to view the dashboard, we simply come to dashboard at the left panel. Simply search for the dashboard option on the left panel and click on dashboard groups. So this is dashboard. I'm going to click on dashboard groups, and here we have all again, which is dashboard that has been created for us. So click on this option to open, and we are going to have the dashboard that we just created, which is weather monitor. So click on this, and here we have information about our dashboard. So to open the dashboard, just click on open dashboard, and there we have our data. So we have our temperature and we have our humidity. So here we have our data, temperature, and also humidity, and we have the graphical representation. We are using temperature gauge here, and we are using humidity meter. So that's simply how you can send data from Raspberry Pi to Thingsboard Cloud platform. I hope you find this tutorial useful, and if you like it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also before you go, kindly subscribe to this channel. In the next tutorial, I'm going to be looking at how to set up Thingsboard to run locally on your computer without needing internet connection or without needing any Thingsboard Cloud. So you can run Thingsboard locally on your Raspberry Pi without internet connection, and that's what you're going to be looking at in the next tutorial. Don't forget, you can always subscribe, and you'll be the one to be notified whenever I release a new tutorial. So that's it, and thank you.